Hello and welcome to Journeys of MACSA Podcast. I'm Ken Thompson from MACSA, here today with Omar Granados, who is a longtime MACSA piano teacher, pianist, composer, and our MACSA 1 Center Director. Thank you for handling all that stuff. It's very, very important on top of all the other things that you do.
Yes.
I'm very excited to talk with Omar today. I've been wanting to get him on the podcast for quite some time. So here he is, right here in the seat, in studio today. And I did want to mention a couple other things. I kind of dropped some of your bio in there, but some of the other things we're going to be talking about today, in addition to being an educator, pianist, and composer, he founded Keynotes of Love, an association to help children in vulnerable situations, and also is a co-founder of Harvest of the Moon Coffee Company, which has a much more cool name in Spanish.
In Spanish, it's pronounced Cosecha de Luna.
Cosecha de Luna.
Cosecha de Luna.
Well, I love that. I said it right. Okay, well, I'm good.
Right,
well, he's such a fine teacher that he could even teach me how to say Cosecha de Luna. Right, that's so beautiful. So we'll talk a little bit about that and Keynotes of Love, some of the other things that you're working on. But so I like to start these things by going way back in time, and we're going to have the dream, like the little thing here, dreaming, and go back to a time, if you can recall a time that you did not know what music was, crossing over into a time that you did know what music was. I mean, that's a pretty crazy question, and if that doesn't, if it goes too far back, but what was your initial encounter with music?
The early impressions would be going to church and listening to the organ. Like in Puebla, there's a big cathedral, and it has a huge organ, and listening to the organ and feeling the vibrations of the organ on my chest.
Yes.
Those would be very early impressions of music. And the other one was listening to birds singing and trying myself to imitate their sounds.
Really?
Yeah. I would try to do that as a child. I was obsessed with learning the names of different birds.
Really?
And I would try to imitate their sounds. So we had I'm an old guy, so we had this tape recorder, and I would record the things, and then I would try to imitate and to codify what they were.
So you would actually,
I would try to sing.
You would sing it. Okay.
I would record a bird.
Yeah.
The way they were singing, and then I would try to imitate it.
Wow. But when did you actually try to notate it?
Yeah.
Using music notation or some other?
Before I knew music, I would try to do my own thing, which was very cute.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really interesting because that's your environment was one. It's interesting too. You talk about the organ and the church, and that's the deep, low bass sound, and then the birds. Most of the birds probably flying around are not singing in bass. So you have the other side of that, and it's very natural. And Messiaen, of course, wrote a bunch of things with birds. And of course, many composers have been, inspired by birds. I guess they're probably nature's earliest songwriters.
Yeah,
I mean, whales too, but it's a little hard. It might have been more difficult to listen to the whale song.
It's more difficult. That became more popular like in the 80s.
Yes, that's right.
The tape recorders with the whale sounds for relaxation.
They were very into 80s. The whales, they had the 80s beat. I used to dance to that a lot. But anyway, I'm sorry to get off topic. So let's talk about. So you were listening to bird sounds. That is so interesting. So did you sense that in your family was there like sort of an affinity to sort of sound awareness?
My grandmother was a pianist. So that's where I took it from. So the other thing that happened is that we moved to a different city when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And then every summer we would travel and spend like 1 or 2 months with my grandma at her house. And she used to have a grand piano and an upright piano because she was a piano teacher.
Wow.
And she would play for us. And then after she was done playing, she played very well. I would stay there in the room just banging on the keys.
Wow.
And I did that for years until they would come and take me off
really?
The bench. And
so you were that like in love with the sound? How old were you in those years?
When I started doing that, like 6 years old, 7 years old. Yeah.
What was it then? So you had the opportunity with the 2 excellent pianos. I mean, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And,
she had nice
when you were doing that, were you trying to kind of imitate your grandmother?
Probably. I was just messing around. You could say I was just messing around. And then at some point, after like 4 or 5 years of me doing that, one day my grandma, in Spanish, when you're blonde like me, you say güero.
Okay.
So one day she came in when I was banging on the keys, and she said, a ver, güero, I'm going to teach you a piece. I can get your sister, and I'm going to teach you both a piece, because I see that you like this piano thing.
Yes.
So we sat there, and she said, okay, this is do, now this is finger 2, and now go si, do, mi. Si, do, mi, and do that 10 times. My sister did it for like 5 minutes, and then she ran away because she found it boring, but I found it very interesting.
Wow.
So I ended up learning a short piece. It was a waltz. It's called Fascination. Si, do, mi, sol, do, si, do, si, do, mi, sol, do, si. And I learned it with both hands.
Really?
I stayed there for like 1 hour and a half, and I ended up playing that with both hands that afternoon, and then I became obsessed with learning music.
Sounds like you were obsessed. I mean, like
Before.
that in a sense, but then like it was like this flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because that's an extraordinary one. That's not a easy piece. It's a beautiful piece.
No. Yeah.
And to do it both hands.
Yeah, I mean, it was a simple version. It was si, do, mi, sol, do, si.
You're making,
si,
that's pretty complicated.
Si, do, sol, do, si, do, si, do, si, la.
Wow, this is a free lesson.
And then there was a C sharp there, do, re, fa, la, re.
Oh, C sharp, dude.
Yeah, that's
going.
intense.
That's you got it all. The black keys. So wow. So then obviously like that's so interesting because of course some kids will do that. They'll just be drawn to it. Of course you were in a way there was like a fertile ground there with your listening and responding. There was a responsiveness there, and then she recognized that. And but you didn't have a piano at your house.
No, we didn't have a piano. Or anything.
So then you're obsessed. How did you manage that challenge with? You know what I mean? Not having a piano in your house.
We had a guitar because my sister used to play the guitar. So I tried to play her guitar, and I tried to create my own notation system. And we had one of those toy pianos, the tiny one, and I would try to play on that one.
Right.
And eventually I asked my parents to take me to the local conservatory to start learning music.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you asked your parents. That's
yeah.
So,
Because it wasn't in their plans to have an artist in their family. So at some point when I was like 10 or 11, I realized that my life was already decided by the adults. That I was going to finish, I was finishing elementary school, I was going to go to middle school, then high school, then go to college, then get a job, get married, have children, then retire, and then die. And that was my life, right? I was very young, right? But I wasn't going to do any of the things that I wanted to do. And I really wanted to learn music. I want to express myself through music and through literature. So that's why I asked my parents to take me to music lessons.
Wow. Yeah. So how did you become aware that this conservatory was there? Like, did you have friends that go in there?
First I wanted to go to study in Mexico City through Televisa, the big television company.
Oh, okay.
They had a program, and I wanted to move to Mexico City. So the way I became aware is because my parents, they weren't going to let a child go to Mexico City. I was like 11, Okay. So they said, well, we can take you to the local conservatory. There you can learn.
That's actually
music.
a really good negotiation tactic.
Of course.
I want to go far away to a city, but then they're going to be motivated. Yeah. So you went, now tell me, like, what was it like then to have, because in a way, your very first experience being taught was with your grandmother. So then now you're looking to someone that you don't necessarily know. Do you remember that first meeting or those early times?
We had an admission test at the conservatory. And it was meant for students who already knew music. And I only knew how to play my little piece. I had made up my own notation system, and my grandma had taught me that mi, sol, si, re, fa was the treble clef. And sol, si, re, fa, la was the bass clef, the lines and the spaces, but I don't know anything else. So when I came to the test, I mean, it's been many years, and I hope they won't take away my diploma at the conservatory. Basically what happened is that I came and took the test, and it was just a teacher. Later I knew that he was one of the teachers, but I came in and he started just like on the table tapping something that was quite complex for me. It was like, and I was like, okay, now you clap that back. And I was like, I couldn't, right? And then he started playing some random notes, and he was like, okay, sing it back. And I couldn't sing any of that, so I failed the admission test.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we did is we talked to the director of the school, and we asked him, we begged him to let me in so that I could study music, and he agreed.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I came into the conservatory.
Amazing. I would imagine they could have picked up your passion.
Probably.
I mean,
And the first class, the first year, you were supposed to take just solfege and to be part of the choir, the singing people.
Right.
And the first solfege class, the teacher came in, and you were expected to know music, basically,
right,
because
already.
he came in, he drew a treble clef, a bass clef, and he said, okay, you guys already know music, that's why you passed the admission test.
Oh.
So he drew all these little circles, which are the whole notes.
Right.
And then he started asking one by one the name of the notes. And then they would go like do, ra, fa, fa, fa. And when he came to me, I couldn't say anything. Yeah. So I left there devastated because it was very hard. And then when he started testing the voices for the choir to know if we were going to be tenor or bass, I couldn't sing anything. So then I came back that afternoon with my mom, and she remembered that one of our neighbors, Delfina, she was a pianist.
Oh, okay.
And so she took me with her. And thanks to her is that I started learning the name of the notes, how to play the piano.
Okay.
So through the first 3 years of my education at conservatory, I had Delfina helping me. Otherwise, I could not have made it.
See, that's amazing, because you ended up being a teacher of solfege.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, this whole thing flipped completely on the other side. You mastered all these things, but it's not like that. One has to go through some process to learn these things, and as you said, that everybody was expected to have that. So Delfina was your
she was I think she was an accountant or something like that, and she really loved piano. And 1 year she studied since she was little there in Mexico, and then at some point in her life she went to Madrid. And she started with the director of the Conservatory of Madrid, private lessons for like 2 years, and that's where she refined her skills.
Right, but obviously
as a pianist.
she has to be at a high level.
Yeah. So she was a good pianist, but she only had 2 students, me and another neighbor. We were her only 2 students.
Was this someone you were able to stay in touch with over the years?
Even when they were very old, and at some point. During New Year's, we would come and visit with her. Like she lives in one street away from our house.
Very
so it's walking distance.
Wow, that's amazing.
2-3 minutes, you're there. Yeah.
So then you were with her. You obviously, so you're like probably 14 or so.
Yeah.
And at some point, now when did you start? So you had the lessons with her, which were sort of general music and piano.
Yeah.
And then at some point, did you start working with one of the conservatory?
Yeah, one of the teachers. Yeah, they put me with their more advanced pianist. Which was good in a way because he was always challenging me to learn difficult pieces. And yes, that was in the second year.
Oh, okay.
At the second year of the conservatory, they would assign you with the teacher.
Right.
Yeah. So I had Enrique Castillo.
Okay. And were you able to practice there, or did you still?
Yeah, I didn't have a piano yet.
Right.
So Delfina was very graceful, and she always let me practice at her house.
How nice.
When she wasn't there, then I had a neighbor who had a piano at her house, Carmelita and Jose Luis, and they let me go there in the afternoons. And if not, at my elementary school, at the Instituto Oriente, they would let me go and practice there. And this became legendary later because I took a piece of wood and I drew the keys in there. I made my own piano so that whenever it was like around Christmas time or a special occasion when people weren't available, I would try to play there on that mute piano.
I'll tell you what, that's a testament. Okay, everybody who has a piano sitting in their house like doing nothing, I mean that's a real testament to when there's a will to learn something, when there's a passion, you will find a way to do that. Even like creating the
piano.
I
still have it.
You still have that. Do you have to keep it in tune, or is it's imaginary tune?
I have to paint it.
You have to repaint it. But I mean, that's really amazing. I mean, it seems that this feeling of music was very, very, very fundamental to who you are, as a person. Even like the responsiveness to your environment, and then to I mean, that's a lot of barriers to overcome. But it was clearly a passion. Clearly. And when did you have a point? I mean, in some ways we never would reach this point. But do you remember a point where you sort of started to feel like, so you come into this situation, you're sort of feeling maybe like an outsider, or kind of like you have to catch up, but you have this belief and this passion, and then at some point you probably feel like, okay, now I've got this. I'm feeling pretty solid. You know, do you remember where that shift from being catching up to kind of being like centered and do you know what I'm getting at here? Like, there's a point where you probably felt like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable in a sense.
That was well, not really comfortable, but studying at the conservatory was very hard because it was very strict. Education, there wasn't much room to be creative.
I see.
And you had to follow a lot of rules, and you had to do what your teacher was saying. And I mean, this was early 90s. So the educational system was still very traditional, where the teacher could yell at you, and you had to do it the way they say, and that's it. So what happened is that when I was very advanced in my career at the conservatory, about like 2 years before I graduated, I enrolled in economics at the university. I started studying economics, and at the university they had a cafeteria and they had a grand piano there. And there I would play for my friends, and I would play whatever piece I wanted. Not just classical pieces, not my Beethoven sonata, but whatever pop music I wanted, or whatever piece I liked, or even some of my improvisations. And they would love it. And I would feel that I wasn't being judged all the time, and that I didn't need to play like everything perfect. I could just express myself through music, and that's how I ended up graduating at the conservatory. And that played a big role, just playing for friends, having that liberty to play for people.
You know, it's interesting you say this. Sounds a little bit like we had on I think the last episode, or maybe a few episodes ago, a person who studied in Russia, and she describes a similar initial experience with a music school, very, very strict, and she was is a composer and songwriter now, and also that not feeling like there was something inside. And I know you're a composer, as you said, improviser and everything. It's you know, it can be, you can see there's reasons, I guess, they do that. They can serve the, you know, traditions or whatever, but it can be very difficult for artistic people have that expressive bent. It can be very, very hard. So that's wonderful that you were able to do that. So do you feel that so in terms of how long you were at the conservatory, so there was a point, because you also started teaching at the conservatory. So in terms of studying there, about how old were you when you were sort of done with the studies and then moving into the teaching role?
I started teaching before I graduated, and that was like 2 years before I graduated. They put me. I started teaching like the basic things, like in the first year of the solfege class and things like that. And I had some students, like the kids and things like that. And what was your question?
Oh no, it was just like what whenever you're like so because you went from, I mean, if you think about it, that's a quite big change. You go from feeling outside
well,
to then
what
finishing
happened
and then teaching
is that through the career there was a class that was like practical teaching, something like that was the name. So you were supposed, under the supervision of your teacher, they would assign you like a couple of students, and you would have to work with them, and your teacher would see them like once a month or something like that, and monitor how you were teaching them. And the first 2 students that I had under that class, it felt like having a conversation with them. It felt very natural to teach them. So it didn't feel like I don't know, it just felt like this, like just talking to somebody about something that I really like. And that's how I felt from the beginning about teaching. So it was very comfortable.
That's what I was going to ask you that question, because you're such a fine teacher, and I think you put a lot of your artistry into your approach to teaching. And I was going to ask about when did that kind of awareness come? And so it was right away.
It was right away. It felt very natural. And later, when I was studying here at UTSA, Liz Gutierrez would mention that sometimes. Oh, when Omar is teaching, like your only problem is that you tend to repeat things too many things. You ask the students to repeat things too many things, too many times, but it feels like you're just having a cup of coffee with them. And I was like, oh yeah, she's right. That's what I do.
I think though a lot of people really cherish that kind of kind of atmosphere. They can feel safe and like they can create.
Relax,
and they can make mistakes. And be. I think. Do you think that part of that was a reaction? Like to go against what you had earlier
probably
experienced?
And thanks to the way like MACSA is structured, and that there's a lot of liberty to teach your own way. Yes, and what I aspire to do is exactly the opposite of how I was taught, because the way I was taught, you either made it or you got broken in the process.
That's
because it was very and you have so many different ways of learning. And so many ways of doing things that you can't really do everything the same way. There's a lot of students that you ask them to do something and they just keep looking at the page. And if you're not careful and you're very desperate, you'll be like, do something. Why are you playing? But no, that kid may be like reacting to all of that, integrating all of that into their system, processing all of that, and then 5 minutes later,
there it is.
They play it.
I think you hit the nail on the head too with that kind of situation. Like certain personality styles. Usually a little bit more cavalier personality styles sort of somehow make it through that thing. But those, I mean, for myself, I'm very vigilant. So and I'm very self-critical. So any type of, I don't need additional criticism to help me be more critical. Usually that shuts me down. And so I think that's beautiful the way you've reacted against that. So it still has an effect on you, but it's like you're turning it around. And then you also have taught languages.
French.
French as well. Obviously a love for teaching there. And I know, I mean, I feel like I've just scratched the surface, but I want to talk about some of your current projects too, if we can jump into that. Because I'm guessing that some of these projects that you're doing now and working on now probably have some relationship to, again, things from your, when you were growing up and things you saw and what you wanted to do. Because the keynotes tell a little bit about that, and also the coffee company. Which I think there's a connection, if I'm not mistaken.
So my father passed away in 2018, and after he passed away, I needed reasons to go more often to Mexico, and I met a friend. She had worked on. She's into business. And she had worked in Chicago for a while, and then she came back to Mexico, and we started talking about projects. Like a lot of people I know, once I tell them that I'm an educator, and then they're a music educator, and there I play classical music. That's it.
I know where you're going with this, but not everybody knows this.
Not everybody knows
tell them that experience.
But in this case, she mentioned that she really liked piano and she liked classical music, and so we started talking about. She wanted to do a business about coffee and other products, to have like a platform to sell Mexican products internationally. And I wanted to, I always wanted to contribute back to Mexico, to my country.
Of course.
So we started bouncing ideas, and that's how we came up with the idea of the coffee company. The idea is to buy the product from the producers, from the agricultures directly, and pay them a fair price. And then the other idea was to normally they're very poor people, no? The people who produce the coffee in Mexico, and they have very few opportunities to educate themselves. So the idea of the association was to have an association that can bring different workshops, different ideas, different teachers, so they can see the other things and expand it, bring it into the community. Into the community,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's how we started those two projects. The idea is eventually to integrate both of them. Obviously, it's taking longer than
there are a lot of logistic
things and a lot of bureaucracy that you have to go through. But the association, we started that project, and I started going there and teaching these music workshops to children. My friend Jocelyn, she started doing a literature workship. Then we had other friends doing a mechatronics one.
Okay.
Different things.
So all sorts of things. So then, if I get this, and remind me again the name of the
Keynotes of Love.
Keynotes of Love. Okay, so the basically you go into the communities where the coffee's grown, you're paying them a fair price, and then there's these children who need
like
exposure to education, and so rather than them having to travel, you're bringing,
you go there and you teach them.
That's great.
Yeah, that's
great.
the idea.
And this started, like I said, 2018.
2019, 2020, around there, around the COVID and time.
Right, I guess that obviously had to have an impact.
So we did some things online.
Right.
And then that's why it's also taken longer.
Of course. So, and then are you doing? So currently, like the barrier is just the logistics and the legal stuff and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm sure that you'll get through it.
Absolutely.
I mean, in a way, you've got a lot of tenacity and a a lot of flexibility. You look back to how you figured out how to practice the piano with no piano.
It's that meme, no? That you think that you're here and you want to get there and it's going to be a straight line, but then it's like this,
that.
Up and down. You go there, and you come back. You have to a little bit listen to life where the opportunities are, and then move from there.
That's awesome. What do you have anything in particular that, like, if any listener wanted to help or something like that, something that a way that they could? I can send a link to our website.
Yeah,
that would be great.
You could make a donation there.
I've seen some of the workshops you shared, I think on Instagram or on Facebook, and it's just it's really fulfilling. It's got to feel amazing to see the kids. Singing, I believe I saw them. I believe I saw a recital. This has been a few years ago, where they these kids had not played before.
No, but they learned to play like their Christmas songs, and we sang together some songs. That's
really amazing. And then you're also, I know you teach a lot. And you're also playing, and you're also composing. I'm amazed at how you manage. How do you keep your energy going with all this?
I don't.
You don't. That's the coffee. The coffee.
It's the coffee. No, I try to walk or run every morning. Like do some exercise.
Okay.
But I'm getting older. Like in the past, I used to pressure myself a lot. Kind of like what you were saying earlier, that you're very self-critical of yourself. I used to have all these sticky notes, and it didn't matter. Like I could finish teaching here at 8 or 9 and go home, and no, I have to finish all this.
I see.
And now I can't. I go home and it's around 9 p.m. and that's it. I disconnect from everything. But I think that's also a good thing that I've learned over the years to rest.
Yes.
That rest is important. Otherwise, you can't really mature. Otherwise, you're just burning yourself.
That's true. Right. There's a point where you have to recharge and be, especially when you're trying to look at things creatively and come up with good solutions.
And I'm planning on playing a recital next Saturday, June 21st in Mexico.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
And I should be practicing, but I'm going to start practicing today.
Okay.
So I got over the idea that, oh my God, I haven't practiced. This is going to be horrible. I should have been practicing for 3 months. That's the voice of my teacher telling me.
Right.
But at this age, it's like, come on, you can put it together. You can do it. You can always,
Absolutely. Oh, that's really powerful. Because it's like we do. I have that self-critical voice too, and it has affected me. It's kept me from doing things, and it's kind of crazy. Like what's the point? Like even when you're doing it for yourself, and then you're sharing it with others, and they enjoy it. And it's a beautiful thing. I need to learn from this. You're teaching me things now. Anything else you want to mention?
Just that I'm thankful to be here, and I'm thankful to be part of MACSA.
Thank you so much for saying
MACSA has been a good community for me.
Thank you so much.
I've learned a lot through all these years with the school. And you've been a great friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Omar.
Also,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have as well, and it's been amazing to have you here. You've been you're one of the pillars
thank you.
going back to the very beginning. And I remember so well, you had this. You looked very dramatic. You still look dramatic, but you had a trench coat, and you looked you were very. And it wasn't summer, of course. You looked very dramatic. I remember chatting with you, and I was very intrigued. I could just sense that you were a person who was very passionate about, about art and about music, and you had an amazing way to connect with people. And I think that was evident, and as you said, in all of even your teachers noticed this early on, and you've really leaned into that. And your students, benefit because then they feel, like I said before, they feel safe and able to express themselves. So anyway, I really appreciate you coming. You're so busy. I'm so glad that you could be here with us. And I want to thank you also for joining us once again for my talk here with Omar Granados.
Thank you.
For now, this is Ken Thompson from MACSA Musical Arts Center of San Antonio, wishing you well on your journey.